What's up, Glue Dots? I'm Elaine, the Midnight Crafter, and I am so excited about tonight's project because you see this back here behind me on the wall? Well, years ago I got that at Pier 1 Imports, and I've been trying to figure out how I could recreate it by myself. So I did it, and I did it all using Dollar Tree products, so I am so excited. Now granted, the one I made is about that big, and that one is quite large, but you can make yours any size you'd like, and I just thought I'd start small and do it for the tutorial to make sure that it worked out. And I gotta say, guys, I think this is my all-time favorite project so far. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. I love it. So I cannot wait to show it to you. It's pretty easy to do, just a little bit time consuming, but amazing for all my glam girls, all my modern glam people out there. This is the bomb diggity, I'm telling ya. Okay, enough gushing over that. You know that I would love to have you join our Glue Dot family by hitting that subscribe button down below, and if when you hit the bell next to it, then you'll know every time I upload fabulous videos like this one. So please join us and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, and best of all, share it. Give me a thumbs up. You know, like so many things, I'm so bossy. Anyway, I can't wait to get to this, so I think what we should do, almost forgot again. Down below in the description box, there's a link that you can enter to win a cute little bling owl keychain, and I do that the first of the month, every month for 2019. So if you're interested in entering to win, it's adorbs, then that's all you have to do is go down there and hit that and put your email address in. Also, down in the description box, it's really important to look down there because if you want to recreate this project, my pictures aren't always very inclusive of everything needed because sometimes they morph into more as I'm going along. So down there I actually list the items that you will need, and there's a complete list for you. So, okay, now we can get to it. So let's do it. Okay, so I already got a little bit of a head start on here because I wanted to try and make sure this project was even gonna work in the first place. But what we're gonna be doing is take your big tray here, and I don't know if there's smaller size trays, but go ahead and get the biggest one that you can find. And we're gonna cut off this outside rim because we're only gonna be using the flat part of the tray. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing with this piece is cutting out leaf shapes from this. So decide how big or how small. You don't necessarily need them all to be the same size. You can have different sizes and slightly different shapes. So you don't necessarily, you don't have to cut a template out or anything. So this is kind of what we're going to be doing, and cutting out a bunch of these because these are going to be the decor for our project. And try and maximize your space by using any little extra areas that you have here. Just like you would if you were using cookie cutters and cutting out dough, you know, we have to make every last little cookie fit on there. So that's kind of what we're doing with this as well. Cutting out and cutting out and cutting out. Now, if you're making a really big wall art, you can cut your leaves a lot bigger and you won't have to cut out as many. If you're doing a smaller wall art, you're going to want to do your leaves a little smaller so that you can get at least several leaves onto the project. Okay, that cut a lot, that made a lot of leaves and left all these little caca pieces that are just going to go thrown away, which actually they're not so caca pieces. They're kind of really cool looking, so you probably could use those for another similar project using just the extra little cutout pieces, because they're pretty slick looking. So I don't know, who knows, I may put those aside and use those. They may go in the garbage. But what we're going to be doing next is the fun part, and you're going to need for that a little bowl of water and a bunch of different nail polishes. So I have all of these colors because these are kind of in the color scheme that I'm trying to stick with. but pick whatever color scheme you want and go with it. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen this technique before, so it's not anything new, but we're just gonna be using it. And for those of you that haven't seen it, ooh, you're gonna love it, so much fun. So just gonna go ahead and figure out, I don't know, just randomly take some different things. I'm gonna want some dark colored leaves and I'm gonna want some light colored leaves. I have on standby here my piece of parchment paper so I can set them on when I'm done, and the tweezers to use as I pull them out. So because the other day I was doing it just with my fingers and I kind of wrecked my nails. So have your leaves next to you. You wanna be able to be ready to go. Shake up your polishes and have the tops loosened so that you can use whatever colors you want kind of in the moment and not have to take the time to undo them. So all of these nail polishes were from Dollar Tree, except this one here. I got that at Daiso, but they can be any nail polishes from anywhere. And I'm gonna start with some of my darker leaves, no reason, just because I can. And I'm gonna put a few drops of this dark blue in there. And you can see how it sort of spreads out. And then maybe put a little bit of this blue in there, which is a bit dark too, just to change it up a bit. And you can kind of see what it's doing there. And then you're just gonna take your leaf, and I'm using my pointy tweezers from the very tip, and find a spot and tuck that in there, pull it out and set it onto your parchment paper. So you can do a few of them with one nail polish bath, which is good. And every single one is gonna be a little different, which is really cool because it makes for a very interesting project. And already our leaves are different one from the other. Some are fat, some are skinny, some are gonna be dark, some are gonna be light, kind of like us. And what's cool about that is we are all beautiful in our own way, as are these leaves that are all different. So I really love that. And this is starting to kind of dry up a bit here. So I gotta get whatever leaves I can done, and then I'm gonna move on to my next color. So you see when it starts getting the snot, I don't know, can you see the snot? When it starts getting the snot, it is time to clear out that polish. So I am just gonna get that little snot piece off of there and then set this aside. You don't have to worry about the back side of your leaf because it's going to be glued down to your board or to whatever. So now all I'm going to do is take one of the scrap pieces that I have and sort of swoosh that around in here to collect all the rest of the floating pieces that started to get a bit too dry. You do probably want to have a paper towel on hand as well to put those on. It's kind of, let me show you some of these. They're really, really coolio. Hope I won't dump them. So they're pretty nifty. So all of them are gonna have a really unique look depending on what colors we put in. So I'm gonna do my next batch here. And I think I'm gonna use some of this really cool, all of my colors are matte except for this one, has some shimmer to it. So I don't really know how that's gonna come out, but I'm open to finding out, and I'm gonna do that one with a little bit of this lighter kind of I don't know, seafoamy minty green, I don't know what you would even call it. And then maybe a little bit of white in there too. All right, off we go. Interesting. And then what's cool about this, this is one place, you guys, we can double dip because it changes up the color. And I think probably this might be my last leaf with this batch because it's starting to get, oh, I just dropped my leaf in there. Ah! All right, well that actually worked out okay. Let's go with some of the other colors and come up. I think one of them I'm gonna do kind of with a little bit of some black in it too. I think that will look really cool. All right. Anyway, I think you guys kind of get the idea. I'm gonna play with these a bit and finish up my leaves and do all those. And then we're gonna, ooh, get off. Get off. Sorry, sidetrack there, they got stuck. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up my leaves and then we're gonna work on the next step, which is gonna be starting to put this bad boy together. That can be a little bit tricky, but I think it's also gonna be really cool. Oh, well, that worked out okay. I just scooped up everything onto that leaf and it came out pretty neat. All right, I'm gonna get these done and then I'll show you what I came up with. Ooh, so here are all the pretties. They're obviously every single one a little different. Couple things I learned, some little tips for you guys to know. Sometimes some of the polish, if you drop it in there too quickly, it will ball up on the bottom. You can see in there some little balls, but no big deal, they stay at the bottom. So you do want to kind of pour your polish in there rather quickly. Also, the less polish you put in, the quicker it is going to dry, the less leaves you will get done. So if you put a little extra in there and you can layer the colors, you will get this type of result. So we're going to have to now be patient, which is not one of my virtues, and we're going to have to let these really dry before we can move on to the next part. All right, guys, so far so good. Are you excited? If you're enjoying this, give me the big old thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and join the Glue Dot family. So let's see what else. Oh, comment, let me know. What do you guys think? This is so cool so far. For the next part of this project, we're actually going to be using these little mirror squares and we're going to be cutting them into strips. Now, I think I got these on Amazon. If I can find the link, I'll post it below. If not, Dollar Tree does occasionally have these and the mirror squares are a little bit larger, which is probably good. If you don't find them or you don't want to use the mirror squares, another option that I realized potentially before we cut up all of this tray into our leaves, you can actually cut some of these pieces into squares. It's going to be a little more labor intensive. If you just cut some strips of this, you can actually, before you cut all of it into the tray, you could actually cut some squares out of the extra tray piece. So that is absolutely an option, and it will probably, it's, you know, one less dollar spent if you feel like doing that. These also are a great option and make great little mirror effect squares as well. So definitely that's an option. To do a side-by-side comparison for you, I wanted to show you that these are the ones that you can get at Dollar Tree. They're by Jot, and they are much larger than the ones that I had gotten on Amazon, and they're literally side by side here, and you can see the difference in the size of the squares. So it's a big difference. By using the extra scraps or by ahead of time cutting the silver tray, you can cut whatever size it is that you want to use of these. Also, another potential option would be using bling wrap. It's going to change a little bit the look of the project, but that's another potential option as well. So what I've decided to do is use these small ones that I had gotten from Amazon because I think it's going to work best for my project. And what a little trick that I figured out, I'm first of all cutting my row off of there with an Exacto knife. And then what I'm going to use, I'm peeling off this backing here, which makes it a little tough because then the back is very sticky and it makes it really hard to work with. So a little trick that I'm gonna do is use a little bit of cornstarch, and very little does the job. So even what little bit is on this lid, if I just touch that and rub it onto the back of the sticky surface, voila, no more stickiness, and it will not affect our project for later on. So here's my strip, and now it's no longer sticky, which is great. Oh my gosh, you guys, what a total goober I am. So as I was doing this and putting on my little bit of cornstarch, I realized that these just pull apart. So instead of sitting there and cutting them and then flipping them, oh, duh, okay. Sometimes it's the simplest of things that elude this genius mind. So anyway, that's a much quicker and easier way to go. Okie dokie, it's been a couple hours, and so we're gonna move on to the next step because my leaves are now dry. I have them over here on the side. And the next thing we're gonna do is take whatever box art frame you have or whatever base you want to use. I would recommend something that has a hard surface and not something that has a flexible surface like the canvas, because I'm afraid that the stuff will not flex with it and it will just pop off later. So I'm using this caulking from Dollar Tree, and I have a little clear dish here that I'm mixing. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, I'm gonna put a good amount of that there because I'm gonna be covering the surface of my artwork here. And I want to color mine a gray color so it sort of matches the one that I'm trying to copy, that I have the artwork at home. And I'm gonna add a little bit. I have a pretty good glob of this going here. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of black paint. That's just one drop. I can always add more, but it's too hard to make it lighter if you add too much. This is a lid from my favorite chocolate covered almonds. They're dark chocolate covered almonds from Trader Joe's. If you guys haven't tried them, oh, you gotta try them. So I would say that I'm using, I don't know, I would guess like 3/4 of a tube at this point, just to give you an idea. I'm just gonna do the surface first, and I'm gonna worry about the sides later. So now you're just gonna, like frosting a cake. So first we cut our cookies out of our cookie dough, cookie cutters with, what do you call it, for our leaves, and now we're frosting a cake. Can you tell I like my sweets or what? If you have a cake spreader, an old cake spreader that you don't use, that might be easier. But I'm just using a stir stick, and this doesn't have to be real thick. Just kind of a thin layer to cover the whole thing. It's not super ultra fast drying, so you do have some time, so don't panic. Okay, so I've got my thin layer on there, and now what I'm gonna do is actually take a toothpick, because I want to draw the little swirl design that I'm going to be placing my mirrors on. So go around and just sort of figure out what pattern. It doesn't have to be perfect because your mirrors are going to go on there, but just to give you an idea of where they're going to go. Okay, I think that's it. I don't know if you guys can see the little pattern that I did in here. There you go, a little bit. But now what we're gonna do is we're going to take our little mirror pieces that I sat so nicely and cut apart, or pulled apart, and we're gonna start placing those on our pattern. Kind of give them a press down in there. So just continue on here, go around on your pattern and get these all placed. Once you kind of get on a roll, it goes a little quicker, I think. So this is what I have so far. My caulking is starting to dry. So if you feel like you need a little more time, do half of this at a time. Then the next step I'll be doing will be to press in my leaves. And now what I'm going to do is take some of my leaves that I've made and start pressing those into place. So you can kind of just, most of the caulk, you want that to be covered. So press them down in and keep your leaves sort of spaced somewhat closely together, because the caulking is not exactly the prettiest thing ever. And give it a good press, because by now this is starting to dry pretty quickly. So you really sort of want to work fast. If you're having trouble and it does dry, worst case scenario, you could always use some glue and stick it on there. So now that I've got most of these in place, there's a few spots that I'd like to fill in, but I think it's going to be just fine to actually cut some of these leaves in half to try and fit them into place. And just go ahead and fit in, make it look as though it's coming, you know, like it went off of the edge. Now because it's drying, I'm having to really press hard. There may be a possibility that this could come off later, but in that case I will just glue it back on. So I'm pretty satisfied with the way that looks now. What I'm going to do is go in and kind of press, make sure everything's firmly in place, and if there's any spots now that are a little bit funky or bumpy with the caulking, now's a good time because it's still damp. You can kind of even those out a bit and press those into place. And don't worry about the stuff hanging off the edge. We're going to hit that a little bit later. And then we'll be painting the sides and finishing up. So what I'm going to work on right now is cutting off with my Exacto knife some of the edges that are sort of hanging off. Now this caulking is a little bit sort of almost rubbery feeling, so it's not like it just cuts off real smoothly and easily. As soon as I get these edges cleaned up here, I'm going to go ahead and paint that edge gray. So just the same way I did with the mixing of the black paint into the white caulking, you want to add a lot more of your white paint than you do of your black paint. Otherwise, it's going to be really dark. And again, it does not take very much. If you're enjoying my videos, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and join the Glued Up family by subscribing and hitting that bell so you know when I upload new videos. I am so excited that this is, I can't even believe that this is a Dollar Tree, all Dollar Tree items to make this project. I think this may be one of my favorites at this point. All right, so you guys don't need to watch me paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done, and then I'm gonna show you this all finished. Hang in there.